Those who don't know the outcome of this true story, I won't spoil it by saying what happened at the trial, but it was a sensational trial. It was in 1978. I was 22 then. I was working in regional television as a journalist. And I can remember coming in every morning after the trial, a day's worth of the trial had taken place, and reading the papers, and even the most hard-bitten journalists could not believe that this was true.
Yeah.
That this case... When you got the script, did you say, oh, come on, you're having a laugh? This couldn't have happened.
A little bit, yeah. And then I kind of researched and was pulling up all these old newspaper articles from the 70s, and yeah, it's amazing that it really happened. I mean, you kind of couldn't make it up. And I think what Russell T Davies has done so well in writing this is that he's laced so much comedy throughout. I think if you treated this just like a serious drama, people would watch it and go, I don't believe this happened, it's too far-fetched. But because it's laced with so much comedy, I think it's far more believable. And also, I think that all those hard-hitting moments that we get, particularly in episode 2 with like the deaths of Jeremy Thorpe's wife and things like that, hit so much harder, they have so much more impact because it's counterbalanced with the comedy throughout the
And what
the
it
show.
shows, what the series shows, and the story at the time showed back then, if we look back on it now, is how difficult it was to be gay, in British society, to have had a gay fling, to be bisexual. So much so that murder would be considered to hush it up. Can you imagine that happening today? Nobody would care.
No, well, no. I mean, I think, oddly, for a really long time, even when I was a child, it seemed that politicians were still not allowed to be gay, even in the 90s. I think very, very recently, for people to just actually sit back and go, no, it's actually OK.
But you look at how far we've moved from that situation then, because, you know, I didn't know anything about this story. I kept having to remind myself that it was actually based on true events, because you look at it and think, I can't believe that this was even within my lifetime.
Well, I can remember the press conference after the result of the trial, which, again, I won't say, but it's out there. After the result of the trial, there was a big press conference, and a BBC reporter called Keith Graves stood up and on about the third question said, Mr Thorpe, are you a homosexual? Uproar. It was as if he'd sworn. There was absolute uproar in the room, and the press conference was cancelled on the spot, and the BBC sent Keith Graves to the Far East just to basically get him out, because you were not allowed to discuss factual matters like that in terms of sexuality in those days. It was quite extraordinary.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, it's the oppression of the gay community at that time that led to this situation. Had this been, as you say, set now or something, this whole situation would never have happened because of the...
What do you think of Hugh Grant's performance as Thorpe?
It's incredible. Yeah. It's so good. I think it's brilliant. And again, that scene where he's talking about his wife's death is just played so brilliantly. It's underplayed so well. And he's always been great with comedy, but you're seeing such a range to what he's doing now. I think he's brilliant.
That's such a different approach, isn't it? And listen, we've got to talk about the Inbetweeners, because, of course, you had a bit of a reunion, didn't you, recently for the 10th anniversary?
Yeah, made a lot of people feel old that we were...
But also made a lot of people feel excited that something else might be...
Unfortunately, no. It was just a nice anniversary dinner for us to get together, and that was it, I'm afraid.
Never again?
And
I don't think so, no.
You look back and you think that was kind of one of those things that you can't go back to?
I just don't think it would work. I think we're too old now. I think that the reason it was so funny is because you had these idiotic, ignorant lads that you let them get away with saying things that would be quite offensive. But as they get older, you can't excuse it, I think.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations.
Great to see you.
Cheers.
Yeah, it was a great series.